welcome. My name is Chris Thompson. I am the executive director here at Generator, and I want to thank you all for coming. I can't tell you how thrilled I am about how well this Jumpstart program is going. Unless I'm counting wrong, I think we will have had so far over 300 emerging entrepreneurs participating in the program, and this is the fifth of 6 lecture workshops. And amongst other things, I can't really thank John Antonucci and LaunchVT enough. It's been an amazing experience working with him, and he's done an incredible job with this. But now I've got some stuff I've got to talk about. First off, we've got Clay, one of our Jumpstart cohort. Remember, along with you guys who are learning in the audience here, we have a cohort who we are supporting with financially with a stipend. We're giving them a studio. We're hooking them up with mentors and prototyping specialists. Our whole, where's the stipend? Where's the cohort? There's Jake, Christine. There you go. So Courtney, and Clay couldn't be here tonight, unfortunately, because he's opening a show over at, believe it or not, Karma Birdhouse, where Michael Jagger is from. So we have a little interesting convergence there. But he's actually opening a show of the work that he's been working on for this program. So I hope you'll head over there. And yeah, so that's open tonight. It started starting at 6, so he should be open in just a little while. A couple things first. Before I do anything else, I just want to make a quick statement, which is that Generator is a social impact nonprofit. And that means what we do is we go out and we raise money to put together this incredible program. This program, all the things we do for the members, $500,000 in tools to help emerging entrepreneurs. And we do that to have an impact on the community. And so I'm going to take a moment just to say, if you have capacity, if you know anybody else who has capacity, if you have a rich uncle who's excited about this, or you're excited about this, what I'd love you to do is tell them how excited they are. Have them give me a call. I'd be happy to give them a tour. I mean, it's a real exciting opportunity to participate, and I'd really, just encourage you. We're happy to talk to anybody who might want to support us. So that's quickly that. I want to thank our supporters of the Jumpstart program. First, though, I'm going to hand it over to Dave Estes. He's from People's United Bank.
Thank you. Just a quick hello. I'm Dave Estes. I'm a commercial lender and senior vice president at People's United Bank. And so I typically am giving larger loans. And I will tell you what, we have been helpful in giving some startup organizations, some loans that they've really grown into big companies. So I hope to see all of you someday and be able to help all of you. This is my third chance to welcome all of you, and I see a number of familiar faces, and the energy and the enthusiasm and the motivation that you all exude makes me kind of think of a good second career for myself. So maybe someday I'll be joining you. But so on behalf of People's United Bank, thanks so much for the work you do, and we're so glad that we're able to support you. So good luck.
Thank you. So in addition to People's United, I want to thank Davis & Hodgkins Associates, Merit & Merit Lawyers for Growth Companies, Fresh Tracks Capital, Middlebury College, M&E Design, Center for Women and Enterprise Vermont, BTV Ignite, Green Mountain Power, and our media sponsor, RETN. In just a second, I'm going to turn it over to John Antonucci, but first I want to say, super excited about tonight, because I actually had the privilege for 7, nearly 8 years of working with Michael Jagger at Jagger to Paula Kemp Design, and they were some of the most influential years of my life. Totally an amazing experience. I hope we get a little sense of that tonight, and I'm going to turn it over to John now.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, as Chris said, pretty awesome to have Michael here with us tonight, and I'm going to introduce him in a minute. But before I get started, show of hands if you've been to an event before. Sweet, yeah, to one of the Jumpstart events. Anyone been to all 5? This is all 5 of them. Awesome, thank you, that's great. Anyone here for the first time? Coming to it? Okay, Cool. So that's great. We've got some repeat customers and also some people coming out for the first time. And just as a reminder, we're filming all of these, and they're available on the Generator website on the Jumpstart page, right underneath each of the workshop descriptions. And so we have one more in 2 weeks. That's about funding your startup. And Karn Cross, another expert in his field, is going to be here sharing his wisdom with you about different ways to get your startup funded. So my name is John Antonucci, and I'm the Director of Entrepreneurship at the Lake Champlain Chamber of Commerce. And the Chamber, about 5 years ago, started this project called Launch VT, with a simple idea of giving entrepreneurs some resources, some mentors, and some leadership training, some content knowledge, and a little bit of capital and an opportunity to get some exposure in the community. And it's grown steadily over the last 5 years, and we have now morphed into partnerships with other organizations here in the community. And it's really wonderful that we've been able to provide early stage acceleration programs and resources to the people who are the lifeblood of our economy and really our community, because we all know that entrepreneurs and small business owners are much more than just making a service or a product. They're here, they're employing people, they're paying taxes, and they're spreading wealth throughout the community, and oftentimes providing goods and services that are solving real problems for us, either socially or environmentally. So I first want to thank all of you for being here and for doing what you do. Our community wouldn't be what it is without you. Secondly, I am just thrilled to be part of this project. When Chris approached us about this, we didn't know what we were going to do exactly, but we put our heads together and we came up with a really great project and a format for this. And the speakers that we've been able to bring in have been truly amazing, and the cohort is so damn cool. I get to come here every session for an hour before it starts and work with them, and I enjoy that time so much, and it's so inspiring to me to work with them. And so I'm on behalf of Launch VT and the Chamber, so excited to be part of the Generator Maker community. As Dave was just saying, it's such an inspiring place to be, and I draw a lot of energy and motivation for the future from this group. So I did want to tell you guys that this is one of our newest programs, but we have a couple other longstanding programs. One is called Launch VT Collegiate, and that just concluded a couple of weeks ago, where we do a pitch competition for students at colleges who have real businesses. And then the winner of that event, who happened to be from Vermont Technical College and have developed a new tool for tapping trees and working with tubing, they get an automatic spot in our major pitch and acceleration program called Launch VT, which starts up in April. But I wanted to just let you know that the application period is open for that acceleration program. Applications are due by March 16th. So please, if you've got a startup, whatever phase you're at, you don't have to have everything figured out. You got a great idea, even if you don't have your team fully formed or any revenue in the door yet. If you're going for it, check out launchvt.com and fill out the application. You never know. We give away over $100,000 in cash and in-kind services. So with that, I want to just transition into introducing our awesome speaker tonight. So he really needs no introduction. I mean, you're all out here for a reason. But by way of just celebrating his excellence, Michael Jagger is world-renowned for his design, and he has offered so much to this community, not just in his brand work, but throughout all of his companies that he's worked with and for. And so, as you guys know, he started JDK Design, grew it into a massive marketing firm, which had a huge impact on national brands like Xbox and Nike, and then Seventh Generation and other local companies who have just done great things here. He's won awards, he's been internationally recognized, and then just, the new chapter of sort of that development became the Karma Birdhouse, which is a whole different thing, and it's providing a home or a nest to some of the most exciting and awesome companies in the state and in the region. And if you don't know some of the stories that have come out of there, it's why I do what I do, because this community is so awesome. So he might talk a little bit about it tonight, but companies like Mamava, who are completely shaking up the world, really, but certainly society with their breastfeeding pods. That came out of JDK Design, and that got incubated and grew at Karma Birdhouse. And so, what Michael's work is doing, his legacy on this community is really amazing. So. He now runs the Solidarity of Unbridled Labor, in which he does his current design work. He's spun out brands like Mamava, but also others that are recognizable in this community. And so he's going to talk to you tonight about building what he calls a living brand and his philosophy on design, which is truly inspiring. So please join me in giving a big round of applause for Michael Jagger.
So I can just do this. All right. Wow, that was very kind. Whew. And you all braved it through the weather and actually made it out here. So thank you for doing that. It's really a Vermont thing. You pulled it off. So the revolution will be synchronized. That's going to be the theme for tonight. And we'll dissect what some of that means here upcoming. But I wanted to thank Launch VT, Jumpstart, Generator, People's United, to have that group come together, sort of exemplary of the whole point of a revolution being synchronized. If we don't have community efforts that really bring the right minds together and we don't kind of push and pull ideas around, we're not going to accomplish a lot of the work that really needs to be done. One reminder quote that I use, I don't know how many of you like Charles Bukowski, but he's one of my favorite poets. And he has, it's actually the title of a book and a poem, but the days run away like wild horses over the hills. And that's a good reminder for me every time I wake up in the morning, that things time-wise are very precious. And we're in a really amazing position, I think, in the creative and the design world to have a profound effect on what is happening and what can positively change in the world through the ideas that we make and the ideas and the purpose that we put into the work that we do. So I think we need to keep in mind urgency and synchronization tonight when we talk about ideas and talk about brand. And I'll tell you a few theories, at least, and hard lessons I've learned about the concept of what a brand is. So that's kind of where we'll begin. Is everybody good with that? And we'll hang out for a little bit? All right, cool. So starting again, here we go. So a little bit of introduction, I guess, as far as context for Solidarity of Unbridled Labor. A lot of people are like, that is the most bizarre name for a design studio ever thought of. There's certainly a lot of nice little crisp one-word design studio names, but it is important for context to think about at least a perspective on how we view the world. So Solidarity of Unbridled Labor is named what it is because it's really wearing on our sleeve what we believe. Design is about solidarity of intention. That is what the whole thing is about. Any design work that we've been involved in or any idea we've been involved in, when you have a synchronization of intention and everyone understands what question you're trying to answer, that's when you do much more successful work. So solidarity is what we're looking for because it's the most potent place to be thinking and making. Unbridledness, of course, is about creativity and breaking convention and being willing to take a pioneering different approach. The labor, and deliberately the European spelling of labor, is there because it's about the collective effort that goes on. It is our collective effort. There's a lot of discussion in the world about entrepreneurs and entrepreneur owner-managers and all these amazing stories of individuals. I actually hate the podcast, How I Built This. I love the podcast, I love hearing the stories, but I hate the I. It's like any idea that is worthwhile, you are part of something bigger than yourself. And you may have a leader who has vision and helps to guide and drive an energy that's unique, but it's always bigger than an I. Anything that's worthwhile in the world, you have to have this ability to collaborate and synchronize. So that's something to keep in mind that is going to be a theme, and that's why the synchronized topic came up. But it's our collective labor. The other thing, these boxes aren't just sort of graphic design masturbation and like, oh, these are pretty colors. They're actually meaningful. A lot of you are probably well aware of Josef Albers and the work with the Bauhaus, and he was one of the founders of the Bauhaus, as well as the Black Mountain College was another profound thing that he and his wife Ani worked on. This is reference and homage to his work. He was the master of the interaction of color. And his theories and belief about how one color overlapping another, they change each other, the perceptions are changed, and they're affected by each other. This is our sort of metaphorical reminder about what design is and what brand is. The things we do and connect and communicate with an audience change the audience, and the things that the audience does change us. And you have to realize that you're in this dynamic relationship. That's at the heart of good idea making. So we use this as a vehicle to just visually remind us about what we're involved in. And it's a living, breathing, never sleeping thing. You can never step in the same river twice. You can never have the same idea happen twice. And we've been fortunate to be part of a couple of things that are pretty unique, that are sort of cultural moments, but those also disappear. And they move and change. So this is just something to remember. I won't talk about every single slide tonight as long as I'm talking about this, but hopefully that sets context for what it is that we're about and what we're doing. So to begin with, as fundamental as this is, what is brand? A lot of people have different perceptions about that. I mean, certainly a lot of the people in this room would understand that it's more multidimensional than a logo, but there's a lot of people in the world who think, oh, the brand is the logo and the equity in the logo, or it's the product, or you hear all different kinds of interpretations. So I think just as far as level setting, for me, to keep my little simple head straight, I always looked at it as like a brand is basically a set of experiences that deliver on a promise. That's all it is. You're managing a whole collection of experiences dynamically, and they deliver on an idea over and over, uniquely, freshly, changing, but it's all these experiences, and it's product, it's online, it's everything. That is what brand is. You're just moving a set of experiences. Brand is a very powerful thing in the world. I actually am beginning to have disdain for this word. Because I think it's becoming dangerously close to a hollow construct, that it's got too much baggage and too much of a mercenary kind of presentation to the world, I think, at this point. But it's something that's embedded in the conversation. I think it's actually more about ideas. It's about living ideas than a brand, and everybody, well, I'm a brand, and people are a brand. And it's getting dangerously hollow. But there is a secret code in this that's worth thinking about. And that is the fact that, as I talked about with the synchronization and the I, brands are basically bands of people. It's a band of people that come together with solidarity, with a point of view, and it's that band of people that humanizes the idea, and thinking about that is more powerful than brand. It's always some sort of band of people that come together. It may be very small, it may be large, but it's the leader whose role it is to create the conditions for that band to blow minds. That's what leadership is about. So it's not there might be an individual who's very inspiring and has great vision and where things can go, but ultimately they're trying to create the conditions for the band to blow minds with their ideas. So I try to kind of erase brand and think about what band is it that you want to be part of. So a little more context as to how we see these things and how we came to see this. So we are a strategic design firm. We're not an ad agency. We don't buy media. We don't do PR. We work with other people to do those things, and we're networked to do that. Our focus is the strategic use of design, hopefully to build some better ideas in the world. That's what our mission and our goal is. Design is one of the most powerful things in the world. But powerful design only happens from here, and that's empathy. If you cannot think about the work you're doing from the other side and the receiving side, you're not going to do work that's worth shit. You really have to be able to get around the other side of the things you're communicating and making is very, very important. So empathy is everything. It's the energy that fuels meaningful design. And design is what we have committed our time to. Great design can create positive cultural change. When you get it right, when you find solidarity of intention, when you get the labor collectively right, when you get your thinking unbridled, you can create positive cultural change. And that doesn't mean that we only work for nonprofits and all of that things. Positive cultural change is also about helping a brand be very successful financially because they maybe give back to their community and they treat their people correctly. Positive cultural change comes in a lot of different forms, but when you get design right, the design of the culture, the design of the product, everything is design, you can actually move culture. And that's what I dream about and think about. And as the horses run over the hills, you need to be thinking about the relevance of what it is you're doing because we have precious little time to do it. So this is our friend Peter, Eric Peterson. out there. He's actually, this is probably about 1,000 yards from here in the woods. He did a little jazz set for us. And Bruce Gibbs shot this video. So this is, it's about 1.5 minutes long, but it'll give you a snapshot of some of the things that we do and the disciplines that we work in. So I'll let you check this out. So that's what we do. Gives you a little, thank you. And that is a we. I mean, the amount of people that is required to put together projects like that, the amount of relationship building and trust that gets built, it still just amazes me what it actually takes to get an idea into the world. So we've been very fortunate to collaborate with some interesting people. This is the Solidarity of Unbridled Labor team. We all sit at the thing called the Mega Desk. It's just a big wood table. It's in Karma Birdhouse, which is down by the waterfront, so a lot of you are probably familiar of where that's at, but that's our little scene. These are some of the collaborations that we've done and that we presently work on. The reason that I want to show you this is not because of the list of who's who or anything. There's tiny little startup brands and things like Magic Hat where we help Alan begin that from whole cloth. So there's things that are tiny little startups and also some larger scale, which is fine. But what's most important about this is diversity of category and diversity of what it is they're doing in the world. And it's back to that revolution will be synchronized thought. One of the things when you think about building your ideas is be really diverse in your thinking and the knowledge and the curiosity that you use to feed yourself. The biggest gift that we got from a strategy of working in multi-disciplines and multi-categories, you can learn things from video games that you can apply to beer, and you can learn things from beer you can apply to snowboarding, you can learn things from farming that you can apply to technology. And it's recontextualizing, it's inspiring, it's cross-fertilization of relationships. That's what this design is about, because that's what life is. Life is a fabric, like people's identities are a fabric of thinking. And having that ability to cross-fertilize your ideas gives you a much better sense of what people are about and how they want to feel and connect and relate to each other and relate to the brands they bring into their lives. So there's a lot of reason to think about that. So as you start your ideas, make sure your network is diverse and in multiple categories, and that's a lot of by design why we did what we did. Ultimately, our manifesto is this. We believe in a living brand. We believe in ideas as living things. Originally, our manifesto was the consciousness of chaos. And I remember being this farm kid from St. Albans, I wrote this like super heady, weird, twisted, theoretic idea that was the consciousness of chaos piece. It was a book that was, when I read it, actually we just are about to post something on it like 25 years later. It's a really twisted, weird conversation, but it turned into that. Ultimately, which is the belief that an idea is alive, it has to be curious, it has to be learning, it has to be willing to leave things behind and learn and change. And this has really guided everything, and we've been able to continue to hone this and push it along the way with great partners like Burton and others. We've been able to radically experiment with that concept. This is the basic model. One of the things that I wanted to show you tonight is the thinking you want to keep simple and clear. There's a lot of incredible material out there in the world. I mean, I'm a huge admirer of the Harvard Business School and what IDEO does and Stanford Design and everything. I mean, there's incredible information out there, but often it gets so complex, at least for me, that you can barely comprehend what the conversation is about. And it's very good to keep the models pretty simple and easy to understand. Because if you're going to move an idea forward, you've got to be able to talk to everyone in simple, accessible ways about what you're trying to do and why. And sometimes if you turn into, your whole vocabulary becomes some strategic babble, it just doesn't work. So just keep it down to earth. Think very simply about what you're doing. It doesn't mean your strategy may not be wondrously complex, but you've got to be able to articulate it in a simple, clear way. So these are some of the devices that we use. The rational, emotional, and cultural is really the heart of the ecosystem that we try to manage. So the rational mind is really what are those things that make you different? Are you lighter, faster, newer? Do you have some IP? I mean, what's that magnet? What's the emotional magnet? Is it about trust, legacy, happiness, surprise, ego? Like, what's that? And then often, a lot of people in marketing talk about rational and emotional. I mean, that's not a new idea at all. But the cultural wave, the context that you're part of, what's the cultural mind and how is that changing? You have to recognize that at the base, that affects the difference you're bringing. So we try to manage that little ecosystem. And of course, the center is your living brand idea. Like, what's the why? Why do you matter? Why does anybody care about what you're doing? That's at the center of this. So this is the ecosystem. As you saw, it kind of moved and it was dynamic. There's times in the life cycle of an idea you may want more emphasis on the emotional. There may be a time where the competitive set changes and you need to focus on emphasis on the rational. So this is a dynamic thing, but its center pivot point never changes. It's like a universal joint. So that never changes, but there's dynamics you're pushing around it. So that's a simple part of the model. When you get it right, the answer is usually found in nature. So this is the Fibonacci sequence. That's the exponential math that exists in all things. And to us, this is the portrait of a great brand idea. Because and if you think about how even photosynthesis works, so you're drinking in sunlight and energy, that's being processed, and then it's used to grow from there. Same exact thing with a brand. You need to create a curious culture that is drinking in knowledge and information about the culture and learning, and then it's perpetuating that out. If you get your rational, emotional, and cultural right, the core opinion leaders that are at your core and that you're connected with and that are your influencers, they will exponentially help you grow your idea. And there's times where that phenomenon really happens. Burton Snowboards is a classic example. Probably there's a number of people in this room that were on some of those early chair lists where you were like the only two snowboarders on the mountain for an entire weekend. And you saw that happen. Over like a 4 or 5 year period, you saw literally that happen. Where a core culture got an idea, they understood the sideways kind of countercultural cultural context of snowboarding, and they perpetuated that, and it radiated to an exponential scale. Created a whole category and an entire culture. But that is the dream. Like that is for us the idealized portrait of an idea. How do you manage it? Again, in the spirit of keeping things simple, it's like keep your central idea of why clear, get your strategy, your intention and mission really dialed in, like where are you going and why, what's the identity, the sort of lexicon that travels with it. You embed those into experiences. Remember the collection of experiences that deliver on a promise. And then you steward that. And that never stops. You just constantly keep learning, keep changing, getting better. That's really what the whole program is about. That's the fundamental nature of what you need to do with your idea. And then you can determine how How to keep that alive? How do you choose to inspire your category? So in the end, it's really this concept of the revolution will be synchronized. I think more than ever, it's the ability to create collaborative interactions that are about the synchronization of disciplines, the synchronization of what your audience needs are, what do they need, what do they want, what do they feel. That's the rational, emotional, and cultural context. So this is what we believe is the future. If the meaningful brands are going to be able to do that, they're going to be able to synchronize their efforts better than anyone. What that can accomplish is this, the third mind. There's a lot of people who throw collaboration around as an idea. When you talk about synchronization and multidiscipline work and the fact that you need to function as a band of people, collaboration is another word I think that's in danger, like brand. Like collaboration is really important. It's like, yeah, it is, but when people talk about collaboration often and you read about it, it's kind of a placeholder for playing nice together. That's pretty much what it's become. Like, oh, we're good collaborators. Oh, you mean you're not a jerk when you work with people? And I mean, there's collaboration at another level, and I think there's a flawed issue that's happened around collaboration that has become that. There's collabs and all these things which are, at this point, have become these sort of sellout relationships in my view. But collaboration has become this sort of hollow things about playing nice together. What you're really after, and one thing to keep in mind when you're thinking about naming or ideas, is the B before A rule. So benefit before attribute. What's the benefit? Collaboration is almost like an attribute of like, yeah, it's working well together. The benefit is third-mindedness. What you want is, we want to work well together because we can create an idea that's transcendent from anything we could create on our own. So I almost feel like collaboration should be stricken, and we should be thinking about third-mindedness instead. Like that should be our goal, is to enter this other space rather than thinking about how do we play nicely together. But it's just like brand. It's an idea that is about a desire to get to third-mindedness and these other level ideas. The final thing that we work toward is having a very simple executional platform to work with. So this is the Living Brand platform. You'll see there's variables in a couple of the cases that I'll show you, because every idea is uniquely its own. They're at different places in their life cycle. But these are the parts when we can create something from whole cloth, or if we can steer an idea in a new direction, or if that's the need. These are the parts that we work towards. So a mission, vision, and positioning. A mission is about why. Yeah?
I'm just curious what typeface that is.
I think it's, what did we end up going with? Graphique is what we're using here. Graphique. Yeah, with a K. And so the tools that we're using here are, the mission is like, why do you do what you do and why does it matter? The vision is, what does that look like in the end? Positioning is a mechanic that's pretty known and has been around for many, many years. Trout and Reese are the people who crafted the idea of positioning, which is brilliant, but it's a pretty simple thing. Know what category you're in, know who your audience is, know the difference that you're bringing and why that matters in the world. That's effectively what positioning is. It's important to be able to have that single-minded thought. The rational, emotional, and cultural magnets I talked to you about. The personification is another little technique to help you think about, okay, if this idea walked into the room, what would its swagger be like? You know, would it be humble? Would it be smart? Would it be curious? Like personifying your idea is very important, and then all of that is imbued into the Living Brand idea. So this is not necessarily a tagline, it's a thought that is the guiding thought of your idea. And all of this imbues meaning into that. We design these and write these so that they can create action. It's great to be this consolidated in the editing and everything, but if you can't actually make actionable decisions with it, it's not a very good tool. So this is what we've designed and found, from our experience, we've been able to move things forward positively with this construct. And I can show you some examples of how that works. Then we apply it